Hello, hello, hello. Good morning to you. You live in a shoe. How are you guys doing today? It is 3:10 a.m. and it has been a very long day today. And I got up this morning and I did prayers, meditations, all that kind of stuff. Went and got my coffee. And my plan had been to like come back and like film a bunch of videos. I actually worked on like outlining a book today. What am I pulling out here? My string for my sweatshirt. And I just felt super like creative today as far as writing, and that was fun. And so I was getting ready to make my Peterisms video. And I was just like looking at stuff on the computer and I realized that I had not posted the last video that I had before I left for LA on my Peterisms channel. So I just posted that and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do my, for BookTube tomorrow, I'm gonna do my, what do you call it, January wrap up, and then I have a Peterisms video I wanna do for tomorrow, and then I have a review video that I wanna do tomorrow, and so then, yeah, so full force back tomorrow, but I just kind of relaxed today and did the outline and cleaned up around the house a little bit. And it was really, really cold in Indianapolis today. It's currently 10 degrees, but it's very windy outside and very cold. All day today, it was extremely windy. I have no idea what the wind chill factor was, but it was really cold. This has been kind of a winter that I didn't expect. I really thought, you know, they had said we were gonna get snow and cold weather and stuff like that, but they always say that and then we never do. And I honestly thought that it was gonna kind of just come and go. Like we weren't gonna really have much of a winter, but we've kind of had a winter so far. And it's just the beginning of February right now, which is crazy. So I'm sure that we're gonna have, you know, more of a winter. And more snow and more of this coldness. This coldness is like, I don't like, you know, the thing is that I think the snow is pretty and I enjoy the snow. I do not enjoy the bitter cold, like the coldness of it. It's not fun for me. But this car heats up really quick, which is nice. So I don't mind it, I guess, as much as I, you know, typically would, but. So that was that, and then, like when I get in here, I wait for like as I'm driving around for the car to warm up a little bit before I vlog. And I was listening to Judy Collins on, I had her on shuffle because I have a bunch of her songs downloaded on my iTunes or whatever. You know, it's interesting. You would think I don't know how people have purses and they just keep tons of stuff in it and they can find stuff. I can never find anything. It's just a small little fanny pack. But anyway, I was listening to some of my favorites. It was shuffling through, but like some of my favorite Judy Collins songs are Both Sides Now, which I love, but I actually like the Joni Mitchell version better. There was a Joni Mitchell version, and it was, if you ever saw the movie Love Actually, it's in that movie. And it's such an appropriate song for the moment that they play it, like in that movie. I can remember the first time I saw that movie, which I really liked the movie Love Actually. I didn't think I would. It's a Christmas movie, kind of, I guess, but anyway. The part where they play Both Sides Now is like this. Like the song is so perfectly matched to what is going on in the movie at that moment, and the feelings of that song, what that song means. The song's really about change, you know, and it was one of my favorite songs growing up because my mother would listen to it a lot. And I actually, like, one of my earliest memories is I can remember my mom and dad playing it. I would have probably been about 5 at the time. I don't know how I remember this, but them playing it and like sitting in our living room and talking. And I just, because there's words in the songs. There's like, there's a line that says ice cream castles in the sky. And I, as a kid, would hear that, and I always kind of wondered what ice cream castles were in the sky. And, it's weird. Like, I can remember talking to my mom about, like, as she got older, I would say, you don't listen to, like, the music that you used to listen to in your youth. You don't listen to, like, Judy Collins anymore. Or, you know, she would still listen to, like, Led Zeppelin and the Grateful Dead and stuff like that, but she really didn't listen so much to, like, Joni Mitchell, Judy Collins, she did listen to Bob Dylan once in a while. Bob Dylan was her absolutely favorite artist of life. Probably next to she loved Led Zeppelin too, but she would, you know, she used to listen to a lot of that as I was growing up. And then when I was, like, late high school, it kind of switched. And then by the time that I was, like, sober and, you know, an adult, she wasn't really listening to that anymore. And she would have me make her mixtapes. I made her a whole mixtape to walk to of, like, Janet Jackson. And she listened to a lot of reggae music, like Bob Marley. And, you know, she would say, that music just makes me sad. It just represents a time for me and in my life that's gone, and I just don't really love listening to it anymore. And it was interesting, like, listening to the music tonight, like, I got it. I kind of understood what she was saying in a way that I had never really understood it before, you know? I don't know, like, I go through these periods where I feel, you know, there was a long period of my life where I felt like, that I struggled with, like, losing my mom, and so I would see it as, like, the end of, like, I'm now, like, at the end of my life, like, you know, which is ridiculous, because, I mean, I could live to be in my 80s, right, and just be halfway through my life, but at the same time, I think losing a parent does that to you. It makes you really realize your own mortality. I don't feel that as much anymore, but I do feel my distance from my youth. I think that's how I want to say it, I guess, is what I feel. I really realize how different I am now to where I was in my early 20s, if that makes sense. Like, that it's been some time. I'm not the person that I was back then, you know? But then in many ways, I still am that person inside, too. You know, I mean, I think we age and we grow up and we change, but I think so much of our, like, our dreams and our passions stay the same. Aging is weird, you know, it really is. And I almost kind of think, like, this society of plastic surgery and Botox and, you know, hair dye and trying to make ourselves, like, you know, look younger, is really kind of, this is gonna sound strange, but it's almost kind of like a deterrent away from really thinking about what aging really is, you know? Because, sure, you can fix all that stuff on the outside and you can slow down the process, but it doesn't really slow down the process inside at all. Like, you know, and I think in some ways probably, you know, it even makes you realize it more. I thought more about it when I was coloring my hair, you know, especially towards the end, like the last year that I was coloring my hair, because it just was so hard to keep up at that point. I mean, my hair is no less white now than it was 15 years ago, and so I was getting it colored all the time. You know, like literally every 3 weeks, because it would come through, and my hair turned white very young. Alex and I had this interesting conversation when I was in LA about, or when we were in LA, about what it means to age authentically, you know? And he said, I feel like sometimes when you say that, because, like, Alex has had Botox, and most of the people in my life have had some kind of plastic surgery or not, you know? And he was like, I feel like you feel negatively towards that. And I was like, no, not at all. Like, I think it's a personal choice. And he goes, well, where did that come up for you? And I said, okay, so years ago, I had seen this interview with Diane Keaton and Oprah. And Oprah had asked Diane Keaton, have you had any plastic surgery? And Diane Keaton said, no, not yet. And she said something to the effect of, like, I wouldn't rule it out. Like, I'm not opposed to it. And this is exactly how I feel about it. She said, I'm not opposed to it. Like, if I decide I want to get it at some point, like, it's not anything that I don't believe in. She said, but right now in my life, I believe in aging authentically. You know, like letting just time take its wear, you know, and embracing that. And you know, it's interesting because I think that Diane Keaton has had some plastic surgery. I could be wrong about that, but I think she has since then. My mom loved Diane Keaton so much. But for me, aging authentically doesn't just mean like that you let go and you give up. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't mean that I don't take a shower and do my hair and try to look nice. It means that I embrace the aging process. And I have to, you know, like, but at the same time, I allow myself to be who I want to be. It's weird getting older. It really, really is. And, I think what's weird about it is, it's not like how you think it is. Like, if you're in your early 20s, it's like you can't even explain it to somebody. It's like losing a parent. You know, and that's the only thing I can speak of. When you lose a parent, somebody that's been with you your entire, if you have a good relationship with them, somebody that's been with you your entire life. I mean, I can remember when I was standing in the garage with my cousin the day that my aunt passed away, and she looked at me and she goes, "It's just so surreal." And I said, "That's the word that I use too, Caroline. Like, you can't even put almost words to what it feels like." It's like, it completely shifts your perspective of life. That this person that you fought with sometimes, loved with other times intensely, that you're never going to see them again. This person that was like such a pivotal part of your life, you know? And I think that's why so many people are really like scared. You know, in the rooms of recovery, a lot of times you hear people say like, the times that I've been afraid that I would relapse is if I like lost a parent or lost a child, you know, which I can't even imagine losing a child. But, weirdly enough, it wasn't something I even thought about at that time, was drinking or using drugs. And I so knew that that was not the path that my mother would have wanted me to take, you know? That it even had that on top of it. But it wasn't, and I was surrounded by people that were completely sober through that whole process. I mean, I cannot tell you the amount of times that like, Tanya and I just like, that was a really big part of us driving around getting fountain pops was when my mom was in the coma. I mean, literally every night, you know, and she would call me 2 and 3 times a day and, you know, be like, "Do you need me to run over to the hospital while you're just sitting there?" And she made me a lot of meals. And, you know, I was single during that time, so Tanya became my surrogate family, she and Eric, you know? I mean, I was eating dinner there like 4 or 5 times a week during the time that my mom was in the hospital, you know, for 2 months or whatever. And, I mean, not like because I was eating so many meals with my mom at that point anyway, but before that, but Tanya just didn't want me to be alone, you know? I mean, she literally was with me all the time, like all the time. There was kind of like a little bit of a group of friends of mine. My other friend that now lives in California, she was there a lot too. Her mom had passed away the year before mine. And so she kind of like really helped me with the whole process of like, especially once my mom passed away, like getting through it and grieving and like the service and all that stuff. That was, you know, having somebody walk you through, like legit, like be like, okay, this is what the viewing is going to be like. This is what the service is going to be like. This is what you need to prepare for. This is what you need to do. You know, if somebody says something to, like when they're coming through the line, this is, you know, here's some options. Like that was so helpful to me. And I know that that sounds kind of corny, but like I can just remember her saying, you know, like, her saying to me, like, you're not standing there when people come through the door for them. You're standing there for you and for your mom, and like whatever emotion comes over you comes over you. She stood literally next to me the entire time. And this is the thing that's so weird. So when my mom passed away, she would have been 22. And she looked so much, she still does, look so much like my mom when my mom was younger. And people literally would come through the line. They thought she was like a first cousin they didn't know about or something, because they would come through the line and they would look at her and they would be like, oh my God, you look so much like Peter's mother. It was so bizarre. But I mean, I had so many, like, I remember when the door to the viewing opened and like the first 30 people were like all from my home group meeting, you know, like, and she and Tanya had called everybody, you know, like Tanya at the time was in Florida and just was on the phone, just calling people to be there and be supportive of me. Like, they did all of that for me. But it's weird, you know, it's like, and I think it's almost weirder now, honestly. I'm like, it's been 10 years, and like, it's so far away from when my mom passed away, you know? It's been 11 years almost. It'll be 11 years in May. And it just feels really surreal to me, you know? It feels like, it's not like it's been 2 years, and I know people are like, well, why are you still talking about it since it's been that long? Well, I guess I don't know what the time requirement on grief is, you know? I always think that's such a cruel statement when people make that, like, why are you still talking about your mom after so many years? Or, you know, it's like, seriously, why would you say that to somebody? You have a pretty cruel heart. But I think the weird thing is it's like I said, like, it's not like it's been like 2 years. It's been 11 years. You know, it's been a long time. And, it's weird, you know, as you get older. Like, I was talking to my stepmom on the phone today, and it's like, we talked for a long time, and we were like laughing and stuff, and I mean, she's been in my life now for so long. Like, I can't even imagine, like, if she wasn't in my life anymore, you know? And I mean, I'm not worried about that, because she's not a whole lot older than me, but, I don't know, it all just kind of puts things in perspective for you. It's weird. Yeah, like, this is what I was going to say. Like, if, you know, you're in your early 20s and you're, like, watching this, like, it's not like what you think it is, like, getting older. It really isn't, you know? I don't know really what I thought it was. I thought it would be, like, I can remember when I turned 30, I was, like, 30 was really hard for me. 30 was almost harder for me than 40 was. But I'll tell you, the hardest age ever to turn was 31. And 31 was really hard for me because I realized I was no longer, like, just 30. I was, like, in my 30s. And when I was growing up, my mom and I watched this show. I love this show called 30-something. And they all, like, lived in these, like, you know, houses with backyards and fences. And they owned, like, advertising agencies. And they had, like, real adult lives and all this kind of stuff. And I remember, like, when I turned 31, thinking about that show of, like, kids and divorces and all this kind of stuff. And I was like, my life doesn't really look a whole lot like that show, you know? And I think this is kind of, I don't know, the mishap of pop culture, but I was like, my life doesn't look a whole lot like that show. Like, what am I doing wrong? Like, and that just wasn't my journey, you know, to live in the house with the, all of that, you know, the yard and the owning the own business, and I hope we don't get divorced. I mean, we're not there today, but isn't it weird how music can evoke all of this in you? Like, just for me listening to Judy Collins tonight, I was listening to, like, some of my favorite songs. I actually listened to, like, 6 songs in a row. I listened to Send in the Clowns, Both Sides Now, Holly Ann, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, which is probably, like, one of my all-time favorite Judy Collins songs. Mountain Girl. What's the other one I was listening to? Oh, and I'm looking at the thing right now. Like it says Holly Ann was the last song I was listening to. Spanish is the loving tongue. I love that song. That song actually reminds me of Alex sometimes. Because he'll say things to me like really like gently in Spanish. Take my car to get washed. It's dirty. Okay, so somebody sent me something for my car. It's at home. I should have brought it with me, but I forgot as I was walking out the door. And it's for my camera. So I want to show it like in the kitchen. And I want to like, you know, say who it's from and all that kind of stuff. But thank you so much. I'm so excited. So this may be the last night of camera problems. I'm going to have to figure out how to like use it and stuff like that. But it's specifically made for Jeep. It says Jeep on it, which I'm so excited. So anyway, I will bring that on tomorrow and show that because I'm really excited about it. I feel like I haven't seen another car in like miles. I haven't started the book club book yet. In Cold Blood. I need to start that soon. I don't want to wait till like the very end to do it. Because like with Ted Bundy, I waited till the end of the month, and I wish I had been able to like watch the I do not like those Ted Bundy tapes. I was gonna say I wish I had watched the tapes before I did the live stream so I could have gotten all that stuff done. I'm like so bored of those tapes, you guys. Like I literally watch like 15 minutes a day of it, and I can hardly get through that. Like it is so boring to me. And the weird thing is I'm very interested in the case. Like the case of Ted Bundy, I'm very interested in. But like, okay, so this is gonna sound weird, the analogy, but so I grew up seeing the movie To Kill a Mockingbird with Mary Badham as Scout, and to me, Mary Badham will always be Scout. I don't care who plays her. I don't care. To me, they could remake the movie and it could win 1,000 Oscars. To me, Mary Badham will always be Scout. She is the antithesis of Scout. Like, absolutely just, you know, she is Scout. And, I remember like a year ago, I think, was when I did the reread of it, and I listened to it on Audible, and Sissy Spacek narrated it. And I was like waiting for her, because, you know, there are parts of the book that Jean Louise as an adult like narrates. And so I was waiting for Sissy Spacek to pick up on the same nuances as the actress that played Jean Louise, or her voice, in To Kill a Mockingbird. Oh, it's gonna stop, hold on. So I was waiting for the actress that like narrates the movie to pick up on the same, like I was waiting for Sissy Spacek to pick up on the same nuances. And before I started listening to it, I was so excited. I thought, and there was so much of the book that's not in the movie that I had completely forgotten about. Because honestly, like I read it when I was younger, and then like the movie has been really what I've watched, you know, all these years. Like every fall I love to watch it. And I thought Sissy Spacek, who is like one of my most favorite actresses of life, I adore her. Crimes of the Heart, and I mean, so many things that she's done are just fantastic. I loved her in Bloodline, you know, even like the Netflix show. I mean, Sissy Spacek is just, she's one of my all-time favorite actresses. Coal Miner's Daughter, you know, on and on. I mean, there's like so many of her movies that I love. And Carrie is honestly not one of my favorites of hers, but I thought she's perfect for this. You know, she's from the South. This will be perfect for her. And I thought she ruined it. I thought it was horrible. Like, I hated it. Like, listening to her on there, it was like she almost tried to change it to be hers, like her reading, and like she changed it so much when I think she could have just gone along with like how it sounded in the movie, which I know that's stupid, right? But I was like, why is she, I don't know, it was just, she would change so much of how it was read, and I was like, of the parts that were like, you know, because the whole movie, if you haven't seen the movie To Kill a Mockingbird, starts off with the very beginning of the book, and Jean Louise as an adult she narrates the book, she narrates the movie, and so she's reading, you know, about, you know, Macon was a tired old town, you know, and all this kind of stuff. Well, Sissy Spacek doesn't do that at all, you know. She doesn't read it like that at all. I thought, why is she not reading it like that? They should have got the person that did that, who's probably long since passed away. But Mary Badham is actually still alive, and she goes to universities and she does speaking tours about Harper Lee and To Kill a Mockingbird. I would absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I actually wrote to her years ago because I wanted to interview her for our website. Alex and I always just picked people that we loved for our website, and that would be like who we interviewed. I mean, not always, but that was a lot of it. And like when I interviewed Jackie Collins, that was just like, oh my God, like that was such a dream of my life. And she just was so fantastic to us. So, I mean, talking to her was like, we had like always known her. And I really, really wanted to interview Mary Badham. I mean, like, nobody knows who that is, really, right? Unless you're obsessed with the movie like I am. And it's interesting, like, when you watch the interviews with her, and, like, she does speaking engagements, and they're on YouTube, actually, and she talks about, like, being on set with... Why am I drawing a complete blank? Gregory... Anyway, Atticus. Why can I not think of what his name is? I'm like losing my mind. It'll come to me in a minute. Watch. I know some of you out there are like shouting it out the screen. But Gregory Peck. I'm like, seriously, Peter. But she said that, like, you know, he would even, like, later in life call her up, and I mean, they had a Scout Atticus relationship, like, their whole life, which I thought was so cool. And so she still goes around and she speaks about, they should have had her read the Audible version. That would have been fantastic. Can you imagine? But anyway, also interesting that she really liked and supported Harper Lee's Go Set a Watchman, which was the book that a lot of people really questioned whether or not it should come out. There is so much flooding in Indianapolis right now. It is all over the place. It's just like on the side of the road. It's just like flooding, flooding, flooding. What was I saying about that? I was using To Kill a Mockingbird as an analogy, and now I don't even remember for what. Oh, okay, so To Kill a Mockingbird is an analogy to the Ted Bundy story. So for me, like, having read Anne Rule, Stranger Beside Me, I know you guys are like, Peter, how did you even, like, use that and then got so way off topic? I don't know, that's how I am. But I loved... At first, you guys know, because I talked about it on here, I did not love The Stranger Beside Me. I did not love Anne Rule's relationship with Ted Bundy. I didn't love her point of view for writing the book. But by the end, it was almost kind of like I was protective of her story. Like she was the only story that I wanted to hear about it. And it's very similar to how I am with To Kill a Mockingbird. It's like, I don't want to hear Sissy Spacek, no matter how much I love her, version of To Kill a Mockingbird. I only want to hear Mary Badham. So it's kind of the same way. Like, I'm watching the Ted Bundy tapes, and as much as it's interesting to me, like the footage from the past, and the pictures of the women, and the interview of the one, Karen or Kathy Durant or whatever, the one that gets kidnapped. I mean, hearing about the stories in the book and then seeing the pictures or the people that match up to it, like that part is really interesting. But just like, and half the time he's talking, I can't understand what he's saying on the tape, then I have to rewind it, and then, man, you want to talk about, like, I mean, it comes across in the book as well, but you want to talk about ego and arrogance. Whew. But I guess that goes along with all the other stuff. Weird story. Mel texted me tonight. She's like, what did I just do? I fell asleep early tonight, and so she texted me and she was like, okay, Mr. Busy, we need to catch up. Because I talked to her. Did I talk to her when I was in LA? I talked to her the day before I was leaving. And then it was her wedding. She was getting married. So I didn't contact her that day. I didn't want to bother her. And we've been texting and stuff like that, but we haven't talked. So I need to call her and catch up. Mel! And we also have to pick our book for March. I think she put a poll up on the Goodreads group about different options. I haven't actually looked at it, different options for who people would like to read about. I am so dying to post these videos of the Sidekick Twins. I can't even begin to tell you. And, so we did 2 videos for their channel and 2 videos for my channel. But it was really just like, I think I talked about this last night. It was like one long video split in half for each, kind of. Like, they did like past life regressions and like a psychic reading on me, mediumship as well. And then like halfway through, they said, well, do you want to finish it up on your channel? And I said, yeah, sure. So that's what we did. Those are going to be the first ones that go up. But they only post like once a week and they have a schedule. So they asked me just to post on those days. I was like, yeah, sure, what? I mean, I don't care, whatever. And they have like a videographer and all kinds of stuff that filmed it all for us. And then the second part of the video, which is going to be really interesting, is celebrity predictions for 2019. And what's going to be interesting about it is that when I walked in the door, have I talked about this on here, or have I just talked about it to my friends so much that, because I was so excited about this meeting with them. They were so nice. I mean, so incredibly nice. But, what was weird was when I walked in, they like, I think I talked about this last night, but they like looked at each other. They said something about my eyes, and they were like, oh my God, you have such strong psychic intuition. Do people tell you that a lot? I'm like, yeah, my entire life, people have told me that. And so they're like, how does it work for you? They actually had me explain it on video, like how I get feelings about stuff, how my intuition works. But what's so weird is, since I've been back, like, okay, this is so weird, you guys. So tonight, I was like, I'm reading those books, Unlovable, about these characters, about that Tammy Pierce. You guys, you know, the graphic novels I showed you guys. So Tammy in the book reminds me so much of this friend of mine that I had in high school. Like, this really good friend of mine, okay? I have literally, I cannot tell you the last time I talked to her. I bet it's been 10 years ago. She doesn't live around here at all. She moved away. We just don't talk. We just kind of, you know, fell out of touch and stopped talking over time. I'm literally reading the book tonight. I just fed the dogs and I was like sitting on the couch and I was like reading the book. And I was thinking to myself, oh my God, she reminds me so much of ... my friend, right? I was like, I wonder what happened to her. Literally a minute later on my phone, this message pops up, okay? And it's her. Like, I mean, I have not talked to her in 10 years. This has been happening nonstop. Like, every day, there's been, like, things that have happened where I've thought about something and then, boom, that person will call. Or something will happen and then ... and just really weird stuff. And, it's all been like Like, I always feel that way, but it's been more since I met with them, and I'm almost kind of like, did they like pull it out of me a little bit or something? It's really weird. Well, okay, so when we do the celebrity predictions, and I didn't expect them to do this, but like for every prediction that I asked them about, they turn it back on me, and they're like, okay, so what do you think? And I'm like, and this is how we get on there. I don't want to explain it, and I don't want to take away the video, but I explain on there how it feels to me. It's almost kind of like, so, okay. I very quickly, I feel like, can tell when I'm with somebody whether or not they truly are intuitive or not, of which I feel like, I do feel that they are. And, for me, it's not like having to go into this zone or anything like that, like, and I'm not saying that I'm like this huge psychic of the world or anything like that. I don't know what it is. It just feels to me like a tool that like I can kind of like pick up and use when I want to. But what's weird is like, so when we were sitting there doing it, like they would throw out a name, and like, if they said Judy Smith, I either have like a reaction, a response to it, or no reaction, no response. And so like, if I have a reaction or a response, that's what I go on. I just go on my gut. This is what I've done since day one on YouTube, and have typically been right about things. And it's just my intuition, you know, call it, you know, psychic abilities, call it intuition, call it a sixth sense, call it whatever you want. But that's what I've always done, is going with your gut, trusting your gut. Like, I'm a big believer in that. And I have actually read so many books that aren't anything about psychics or anything about your true intuition inside of you, and going with that, like, what's the right thing to do that you feel, you know? And that's just how it is for me. It's like just like right, left. Like, it almost feels like, I don't know how to explain it and why I'm doing my arms like this, but it's like, you know, with anything that they would ask me, it's like I either had a strong opinion about it, like a feeling inside, or I had nothing whatsoever. And I would say, like, I can't, yeah, I don't have any, I don't know, like how, like they asked me about a couple people, and I just was like, yeah, I don't feel anything about that. And then maybe nothing's gonna happen with that, or maybe, you know, I just can't. But it's weird because some other things, so it's, okay, but here's what's weird about it, is like a lot of the things that they predicted are completely opposite from what I predicted. So it's gonna be interesting when it plays out, like, well, you know, but I had a blast with them. They are so nice, so professional. Oh my God, where they live looks exactly like where I thought it should be. And, which is kind of funny because everybody else, like when I went to their places, like it didn't really look like I thought it would look, if that makes sense. Do you ever do that? Like when before you go to somebody's house, you have kind of like inside, you have kind of a preconceived idea of what their apartment, house, condo, whatever, farm, ranch, you know, will look like. And then you get there and it like looks completely different. Theirs looked exactly like I thought it would look. Like exactly. It was so perfect for them. And they're just really, really nice. And yeah, just very nice people. You know, it had nothing to do with like the YouTube part of it. So when you guys see that, you'll kind of probably be a little like taken aback, because I make some pretty strong predictions in there about people, like specific. I mean, they were a little bit not so specific. I think they try to steer away from being so specific about things, but I had nothing to lose, so I was like, I mean, it's not like I'm known for being a psychic or something, so it's not like if I'm completely wrong, what do I say? Well, I'm not a psychic, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I don't know what it is. And I said that to them. I said, I don't know what it is. And they go, well, you just have maybe natural, you know, abilities, and you haven't tuned into them yet. And so they kind of like talked to me a little bit about that, like how to like go with it. Like this wasn't so much on camera, but and how to tune into that more. It was nice talking to them about that and not being like embarrassed about it, you know? I also believe it's a very spiritual thing. I feel like when you're really spiritually connected, sometimes you do have strong intuition. I think it's, for me, a higher power given, you know, thing. And I don't like my mother, if she was sitting here, would probably be like, that's blasphemy. I don't mean like I think that psychic abilities are. I'm saying that I think like intuition about like, I think a lot of it is, for me, oh God, this has gotten so spooky and weird. This is why you guys now are like, okay, now we get why he listens to Coast AM. I believe a lot of it is about like, about energy, connectivity, vibrations between people that, like if you have a connectivity with somebody, it's like a connectedness, a connectivity, that doesn't even make sense. If you have a connectedness with somebody, then you can you're probably more in tune to like what they're doing, their actions and things like that, than somebody that you wouldn't, if that, you know what I mean? Like, if you guys are very similar in ways, it's probably easier to read. Maybe that's not even so much intuition as it is in just picking up on patterns of how they would behave. I think a lot of it's that too. There are so many potholes in Indianapolis, you guys. It's horrible this year. I was talking to somebody the other day. Oh, it was my Uber driver in LA, and I said, you guys have a lot of potholes here. And he goes, yeah. He goes, they never fix the roads out here, but like when it rains, it really pulls it out. And I go, the rain pulls out potholes. He goes, yeah, do you guys have potholes in Indianapolis? I said, let me explain to you Indianapolis, okay? This is probably the whole Midwest. If you live anywhere cold or in the Midwest, you'll probably be like, yep, that's us too. All spring and summer and fall is spent repairing the roads, and it's being stuck in construction traffic for hours on end. For the winter, to ice over and tear apart the roads so that we have potholes again, that they have to have huge construction to fill in and fix. Like, I feel like that's just like this constant rotation. I mean, maybe is that just road work and I'm stupid? Like, yeah, I guess it is, right? Like, I just figured out like road construction, like, but do you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like it goes around and around and around and around and around. There's always, like, they're always filling potholes in Indianapolis, I feel like. And they fill it up with those rocks, and then they pave it over, and then, you know, 6 months later, they have to do it again. You guys, I'm driving by the place right now on my right-hand side. Do you remember when the cooler was on the side of the road? I wish so bad I had gotten out that night. Well, I'm almost up there. I wish I had gotten out that night and checked to see what was in the cooler. I'm still kind of pissed that I didn't, like, get out and look. Like, what's in the cooler? The cooler of love. Oh, I wrote a new song for Pee-Pee. I wanted to sing it on here tonight. Now I don't remember what it was. Pee-Pee, they were being so sweet tonight. Oh my God, you guys. So like I was talking, like I was saying, talking to my stepmom tonight on the phone for a long time. And I was just like sitting in the chair, and Pee-Pee, like, or Tucker came up next to me and just like sat. He never like will do that. Like he'll sit next to you, or he'll sit like on your lap, but he kind of like sat and just kind of like perched up on my lap, and he was being so sweet. He kept on looking back up at me. He's done it a couple times like in the videos and stuff like that, but he doesn't typically just sit there like that. And Pee-Pee was upstairs laying down, and Boo was in his house, and Boo just goes down there by himself all the time. He's so cute. And it was just Tucker and I for like the longest time, and I just sat. He's so sweet. It was so sweet tonight. I asked Tanya, I was like, because she has like no problem with him and his meds at all, and we have to like just pill him, like, you know, down his throat, and he hates it, and I feel bad, but I just am like so insistent on making sure that he actually gets these pills and they go down, and then I always give him a treat afterwards. And I said, she's like, oh, we don't have any problem with it at all. And I said, well, what do you do? And she said, well, we either crush up the pills or she said we either crush up the pills and mix it in with the food, or I just put it in the food and then I make him eat like right after that. And I'm like, and he eats it? She goes, oh yeah. So I did that this morning. Like when I gave him his pills this morning, I like gave it to him with a little bit of food. He just ate it right up. Like right, I literally had it on a spoon, and I like stuck the pill in it, and then I like handed it to him. He's like, and he drank some water, and it was gone. I was like, oh my God, this is so easy. Why didn't I figure this out before? But Alex has done that in the past, and then sometimes PP like won't eat because Alex was like, I think he knows that like I tricked him and he doesn't want to be tricked or something. So we stopped doing that. We tried every trick in the world. We did the cheese and the hot dogs, and we've done everything. Everything. The pill, those pill things, PP hates those pill things that you put the pill inside of them. But yep, they're so happy that we're home. And then tomorrow, Alex has to work. He's got a bunch of well, I guess the morning he has meetings. And then he is taking his car to get like an oil change and the tires rotated or something like that. And then tomorrow evening, he and his friend Sarah are going to this birthday party for this friend of theirs from high school. She's doing like a girls' dinner or something like that. It's all like friends of theirs that they knew like when they were growing up, and her daughter. It's like kids and like mothers and daughters kind of thing. And Alex and Sarah are going to it. It was funny because we were at Cheesecake Factory the other night, and he was like, I mean, you can come if you want to come. He was like, it's really just like mothers and daughters and like people that knew each other in high school, but if you want to come, you can come. And I was like, you don't want me to come, do you? And he goes, well, I mean, it's not really husbands. And I was like, babe, listen, I'm not begging to come. This is not like one of those things that I'm like dying to come to. He was like, are you sure? Because like I know it's Saturday night. I said, I don't care if it's Tuesday night. Like Saturday night and Tuesday night. Here's one thing about getting older, okay, truly, when you'll know what I mean, is like Tuesday night and Saturday night don't feel a whole lot different over time. They just don't, you know what I mean? Tuesday night and Saturday night, Wednesday night, and you know, they're all just kind of very similar. But we did make Valentine's Day plans. Okay, so this is kind of funny. So I'm like, Valentine's Day is a big deal to me. Like, have I talked about that on here? I love Valentine's Day. I have loved Valentine's Day since I was a little kid. I love getting anonymous love letters in the mail. Like, that is so exciting to me. And I love getting, well, not in the mail, but in the, what do you call it? I mean, I'm 46, I don't need anonymous love letters, and I'm married, so, but, I loved back in the day when you would have the shoebox and you would get like the anonymous love letter. Oh my God, it's gonna stop, hold on. It's gonna stop while I'm like in the middle of lip glossing. Okay, I'm back. I haven't finished lip glossing yet. But do you remember the shoe boxes, and then you would decorate them? And then you would have the cupcake party. Oh my God, I loved the cupcake party. And then you would wear, like, I always wore a red turtleneck. And then you would sit around and you would get like some anonymous like love letter from, that kind of tastes weird to me. I don't know why all of a sudden I've been using it all this time, but tonight it tastes kind of like cake battery-ish, but not in a good way. But do you remember, like, okay, so you would have like the cupcake party and everybody would wear like a red turtleneck or a red like sweater, you know, or something. And then you would like open all of your Valentines and there would always be like the one love letter in there. Oh my God. And I always had all these crushes on these girls back in the day. And and I always did get an anonymous love letter, and I loved that back. Well, like a love Valentine, you know, that you didn't know who it was. It was always bigger than the rest. Oh my God, I loved that so much. But, so, like, Valentine's Day is, like, a really important, like, day for me. And I know people are like, it's so cheesy, it's so Hallmark, why do you care, yada, yada, yada. Well, I do. Like, you know, I think it's fun to celebrate, especially, like, you know, when you're in love or you're married or whatever, it's like, do something. I mean, after you've been together, like, 10 years, you can still make Valentine's Day kind of special, you know? Like, have some special moments, have some special days. I think life's about celebrating those little things. And, my mother loved Valentine's Day. So I said to Alex when we were like literally flying back from LA, I said, is there anything specific you want to do for Valentine's Day? And he just kind of looked at me and goes, you know, I don't really care about Valentine's Day. He goes, you're the one that loves Valentine's Day. He goes, I just, you know, suit up and do the flowers and go out to dinner and stuff because I know that you love it. He was like, so we'll do something, but you plan it. You plan what will make you happy. And I said, okay. And I said, so I'm just going to make dinner reservations somewhere and we'll do that. And he was like, okay. So I was talking to Melissa today on the phone, And I said, she has like a Valentine's Day thing that she's doing tomorrow night, like a girls thing. And I said, do you guys do stuff for Valentine's Day? She goes, well, we usually get dinner reservations. She goes, but it's so late at this point, I probably can't get dinner reservations. I don't know where it is, how else it is elsewhere, but in Indianapolis, like, if you haven't made reservations 2 weeks in advance for Valentine's Day, good luck. I mean, it's just not happening. It is actually a holiday around here that people go out a lot and do stuff. And, so I said to her, I go, well, do you really care, or is it not that big of a deal to you? I said, because it's not that big of a deal to Alex, but I love Valentine's Day. And she said, no, she goes, it's kind of a really big deal to me. She goes, I love Valentine's Day too, and the romance of it all and whatever. I said, oh my God, me too. And she goes, yeah, Jason could give a shit. And, she was like, he always gives me like a gift, but on top of that, he'll give me candy. I'm like, I paused for a second because I was like, should I tell this story? But I think it's kind of funny. So anyway, she was like, so she loves Sieves. Is it Sieves? I think it's Sieves. What do you call it? Candy. And she was like, she has this box from there, and she was like, you just call them up and you just order what you want, and then they like refill it for you, and you just go pick it up. So she goes, Jason always gets me a gift, or, you know, flowers or whatever for Valentine's Day. She goes, but I like a box of candy. She goes, I'm still the girl that loves a box of candy. I go, well, I'm still a guy that loves a box of candy, but maybe this year I don't need it. She goes, okay, she goes, take the box over there. I order the ones I want. Jason picks it up and he brings it home, and I act surprised. I go, girl, you are so funny. I love it. And she goes, why? She goes, I want to get the candy that I want. She goes, I know which ones I want. And she goes, then I'm set for the next 3 months on candy anyway. I said, okay. I said, well, what are you guys going to do for dinner? And she goes, I have no idea. She goes, we've waited so last minute because they had something they had to do tonight and tomorrow. Well, tomorrow her thing is a girl's thing, but she was like, I'd be lucky if, you know, I can get any reservations now. And I said, we had talked about getting together for dinner this week. And I said, if you haven't watched my Loey video, we talk about going to the Stanley Hotel out there. And I said to her, I was telling her that story. So she's like, oh my God, I've always wanted to go to the Stanley Hotel. And I said, well, I'm trying to make this happen, so this will be fun if we can all go. But anyway, so we had talked about going out to dinner next week. And I said, oh my God, you know what we should do? I said, since Jason and Alex don't really care anyway, and it'll be fun for us because we can get like dressed up and we can go somewhere, I said, why don't we do a double date for Valentine's Day? And she said, oh my God, that would be so much fun. I've never gone on a double date for Valentine's Day. I think it'll be so cool. And Alex gets home at like 6:15, 6:30 on Valentine's Day, and our dinner reservations are at 9, so that gives us a little time to, you know, just be by ourselves for a little bit. And then we're gonna go to dinner, and so we were trying to get reservations at the fondue place here, and because we all love fondue, which for me is hard because now I can just do, you know, cheese and chocolate, but I don't care. I still love fondue. Of course, that is like the most, like, they have like all the romance packages, so it's the most sold out place in town. So they don't have any openings, but we actually did get reservations at somewhere fun. So, late too, we're going late, but I don't really care. I'm real excited about it now, and I'm like, okay, I have to get something red to wear for Valentine's Day. You have to. You have to participate. Why would you not participate in that? I think it's so fun. So I'm really excited about that. And I didn't really realize it till today, but like Los Angeles really took it out of me, like being so just like boom, 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 you know? And I mean, yesterday I was tired too, but today I was like really just kind of like zoned out. And I was driving around listening to my audiobook, and which I only have like an hour and a half left of, and I need to finish because I need to get on to the next book. And I've been like reading at home a lot and stuff, but I was like, it feels weird to me that I'm even back, you know? Like, I think that the trip like upset my schedule a little bit, like time-wise. I don't know. You're like, what schedule? You have no schedule. I'm like, I know, but like, you know what I mean? Like, as far as like I could, the next day after we got back, was it the next day or was it that night? No, that day that we got back, and then I went out and I vlogged. I could not fall asleep, you guys. Like, I was so restless. And I don't know if maybe part of it too was that we didn't have the dogs there. I don't sleep real well without the dogs. And are any of you guys out there like that? I mean, they're always in bed with us, so I kind of don't sleep really well when they're not there. And, so I just couldn't sleep. And, I finally got up and I went downstairs and was getting something to eat. And Alex was getting up for work. And that was at like 7. Like, I laid down forever and just like tossed and turned, tossed and turned, tossed and turned. And then I got up and I went downstairs in the kitchen and I was like making something. I was sitting there and I was actually watching the Ted Bundy tapes on my phone with my headphones in. And he came downstairs, scared the hell out of me. I turned on the light and he goes, "Are you okay?" He goes, he goes, "Can you not sleep?" And I said, "No." And he goes, "Well, I knew that you were tossing and turning." I said, "I can't sleep." Like, and I was like wide awake. So he left. I, you know, kissed him goodbye and said goodbye, and he left, and I finished up eating, and then I went upstairs and struggled falling asleep. I mean, I've just had a hard time falling asleep. I need to get on a sleep schedule, I think, is what I need to do. I've been sleeping deep. I've just had a hard time falling asleep. And tonight, like, I went upstairs, and PB followed me upstairs, and it was early, and I literally just, like, crashed out, and Alex came up there. I totally crashed out. Now available in my merch store. No, it's not. I've been thinking about making some new merch. Nobody wants it anyway, but I don't know. Would you guys want some new merch? Let me know in the comment section below. I don't really care. But I think it would be fun to come up with some new things, some new sayings that I've said. Kind of mix it up a little bit. It was funny today, like, 2 people on one of my videos, they were like, "Where's the drama phone been?" And then, like, 2 other people asked for the drama conch. And I was like, I kind of don't even use those props anymore in my videos. I thought people got bored of it over time, so I stopped using them. But maybe I need to bring out the drama phone. Who knows? I was thinking of an idea in my head. That's what was going on right there. Did you see that? Did you see that one brain cell pop out with a creative idea? That's what was happening right there. You know, it was interesting. I think I was talking about it on here last night, that, like, I used to write a lot of poetry. That was on here, wasn't it? I used to read a lot of poetry too, and I was thinking about that today, like when I was outlining and stuff. I have, like, no desire to read poetry ever again in my entire life. I don't love poetry. Like, if somebody wrote me a poem, like my husband. Oh, that's good. That will never happen. My husband's not somebody that loves to write anyway, but I would absolutely die if he wrote me a poem. Okay, like, that would mean so much to me, but, like, it would also be like, I would be like, what is going on that my husband wrote me a poem, you know? He does a lot of romantic things, but that's not kind of his language, if that makes sense. So anyway, but I used to love to read poetry back in the day, and I was thinking about it today, and I was like, you used to love to read, like, Anne Sexton poems. So depressing. Do you guys know who Anne Sexton is? Okay, look her up. She and Sylvia Plath. I just loved all of that stuff, and it was so sad, you know? And I loved Anne Sexton poems, and I loved, like, E.E. Cummings, and, you know, and I look back on that, and I think, it was kind of phony, wasn't it? Like, did I really love the poetry? Because I've always been a fiction lover, like, always, you know? But, like, when I look at now, I'm like, I just don't love poetry. Like, it's kind of really boring to me, honestly. Like, what's that book that came out this last year? So many people told me to read it. It's like a book of poetry, and it's really thin. It's been on the bestseller list forever, and it's called, like, it's like white, and that has like just words on the front of it, and it's like Milk and Honey or something like that. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? People are like, it's fantastic, and I'm like, it's literally a $20 poetry book that has like 30 pages in it. No, I'm not wasting my money on that. But you guys know what I'm talking about. It's, people are like, now watch, I will end up reading it, and I'll be like, oh my God, it changed my life. Oh, but you know what's interesting that I'm talking about this is my friend did actually give me this book of poetry when she went out to California. She went to San Diego area earlier in the year. And I think I talked about it a lot on my Peterisms channel. She brought me this book of poetry back, and it really, I did love that poetry. So that's not true. I don't, but like I wouldn't, like, if somebody gave me a book of poetry, like I would read it. Who is that author? I can't remember. It was like a really interesting name. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I used to read them on my Peterisms videos. But anyway, I loved some of them. But like, I wouldn't just sit there and read poetry for an hour. This is not who I am today. I don't know if that's who I was ever. I remember my mom used to like make me memorize poems when I was a kid. Maybe that's kind of why I don't love it today. She'd say, it's important for you to memorize a poem. And I'd say, why? And she'd say, well, I mean, you know, it just is. Don't question me. And I'd be like, I don't understand. Like, my dad and my mom both, like, they memorized stuff left and right and could quote stuff. Like, my dad can quote stuff like nobody's business. And my dad grew up going to Lutheran schools, so he like knows biblical quotes left and right. Like, don't ever use them against my dad, because he'll pull, I mean, he can pull them out left and right. Like, he knows the Bible like nobody's business. And I would say to him, I'd say, how do you know all these like Bibles, you know, because, or Bible quotes? And he would say stuff like kind of in a funny way when I was growing up. Like, he would call, okay, so I have one aunt on my dad's side that is like super religious, and she was actually married to a pastor. And so my dad would like call her up. Okay, so my dad is super funny, you guys, right? Like, hilarious. And he would call her up and he would say, why aren't you doing something, something, something? And she would say, oh, today's my day off. And he'd say, many are called, but few are chosen. He would like quote things out of the Bible and things that like, and he would say, now you know that Pastor so-and-so said, and it would be like some pastor that they had when he was like 6 years old. But anyway, I said to my dad, I was like, how do you know all these Bible quotes? And he was like, we had to memorize a Bible quote every day for school. Like, they would go down the aisle, and like, we would each be, like, given a Bible quote the day before, and then we had to like stand up. I was like, when? And he was like, my entire time growing up, going to school. He was like, until they went to parochial schools growing up, but like, and then when he got into high school, he went to public high school. But he said my entire time growing up, I had to like, you know, stand up, like first grade, you know, like, John 3:16 and like quote it. And I said, seriously? He's like, oh yeah. He was like, so I would just sit in my bedroom and memorize. He was like, it was very important, you know? And so he knows all of that. It's funny too, my friend, the one that lives in California, that is friends with Tanya and I, she grew up in the church too, and they would do these, they called them Bible races. This car is like driving all over the road behind me. I don't necessarily like it. They would do these Bible races, and when she was going to school, and they would like, so they would have a Bible on their desk. It's so funny to see her do it. Like, she does this imitation of it now, and she's real short. She's like my mom. She was like my mom's height, like 5 foot. This is the one that looks like my mom, which I think is part of why it's so funny. But she'll like act like she's got a Bible, and then they would say like, okay, and then they would like say the Bible quote, like they would say, what is going on with this stupid camera? You're shaking like nobody's business. They would say like, you know, like John 3:16, and then they would go, and they would stand up when they had it. She does this imitation of it. It's so cute. And so she knows like all of that stuff too. But for me, my parents were really big on me memorizing poetry and like having a poem memorized. And, you know, my mom would say everybody needs to have a poem memorized. And so I would, you know, whatever. And it was like, for me, it was like Robert Frost was always who I memorized, you know. I think I was quoting it on here one day. Was I like, whose woods are these? I think I know. His house is in the village though. He will not see me standing here to see his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to see. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near. He gives his harness bells a shake to see if there is some mistake. But that was my mom's favorite Robert Frost poem because John F. Kennedy, that was like the poem from his inauguration. I believe. I could be wrong about that. But anyway. My mom also loved, and my dad loves this poem too. What is it? Two roads diverged in a yellow something, but I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. My dad used to quote that to me all the time. He would say, do you understand what that means? And I'd say, nope. When I was younger, like in junior high, probably popping gum. My dad hated that I popped gum. And he would say, it means you take risks in life. You do things that make you happy, that you follow the beat of your own drum. And he said, sometimes people won't always love you for it. People won't understand it. It won't be popular. But you do what you feel is right in your heart. Can you imagine having those kind of conversations at 12 years old with your dad? I'm so thankful for all of that, you know? I think one thing that's a blessing as I've gotten older is, you know, being able to look at my parents accurately. And, you know, both of my parents have done a lot of stuff. You know, my mom's drinking, obviously, and, you know, both of my parents have done a lot of stuff that they could have done better as parents. It's hard to talk about your parents, like, when one is gone and one is alive, because you talk about them both in past tense, or, like, when you talk about them together, it's hard. So, you know, but when I was growing up, you know, I remember my mom said to me one time, she said it to a counselor, actually, like in a session that we were having, like a family session. She said, you know, you show me the book that says read page 1 through 100 and your kid will turn out perfect, and tell me what parent wouldn't read that book. She goes, but unfortunately there's no book like that. And she said, you know, we do with what, you know, we do with what we're given. We do the best that we can, basically is what she said, something to that effect. We do with what we're given is actually something a teacher said to me later, but my mom was basically saying the same thing. Like, you know, we do the best that we can as parents. You know, there's no magical, you know, script to how to be the perfect parent. And, but I look back, you know, and I think, given not knowing what they were doing, given them, you know, especially, you know, I don't know, my dad, for his generation, and some of the shit that he was forced to have to go through with me, with the drugs and the alcohol, you know, and then coming out before that, like, never an issue. Just never, never an issue. And I feel like just so, I mean, well, it wasn't an issue to my mom either, but, like, I mean, you know, I know a lot of people have issues, like, gay men have a lot of issues with their fathers when they come out. It was never an issue. Like, my dad was like, you know, just so, I mean, he's never been anything but just loving and accepting of that, you know? Even when I was a little kid. And I feel like, sure, they made mistakes, but there's a whole hell of a lot more mistakes they could have made. You know, and I think as I get older, it's like I'm more able to understand and embrace all of that they really did the best that they could do, you know? Like, you know, could my childhood have been a lot better had my mom not drank? And, you know, sure. Would I not have been scared, fearful, you know, angry, all that? Sure. But I think that, you know, I don't know. And that for me is why her getting sober meant so much to me. because I was able to have life with my mom sober. You know, I was able to, it wasn't just about, like, I'm so thankful that my memory isn't of growing up with an alcoholic mother and then her being an alcoholic adult and then dying. You know what I mean? Like, I would hate that if that was my memory of my mom. But, like, you know, I have this childhood that was kind of screwed up, but at the same time, with the drinking, but at the same time, like, I had an adult relationship with my mother that was fantastic. Not always, but, I mean, there were times, you know, that it was difficult, but I wouldn't say toxic. Not like when I was growing up, you know? There was nothing to fix. My dad, that's never been that way, you know? But he's just so level-headed anyway. My dad has very little time and tolerance for bullshit and pettiness. He just really does. Like, arguments, like, my dad just isn't really willing to hold on to that stuff. Grudges, get over it. You know, if you need to talk to me and be angry with me, talk to me and be angry at me. Let's get it out. Let's move on. Like, life is too short. That's always kind of been my dad's attitude, you know? He's just not big on being angry and wasting life and wasting time. He just never has. And, I don't know, he's just real motivating to me, real inspiring, and I'm really thankful for the parents that I was given. I hear some horror stories from, oh, it's gonna stop, hold on. You know, I hear some horror stories from people in my life that I know, and I know some of you actually have them out there, you know, of like really horribly abusive relationships with parents or family members that took care of you, or I didn't know your parents at all and things like that. And I look back on that and I think, okay, so my parents got divorced and my mother was an active alcoholic. Other than that, and that, like, fed into, like, scary times for me. But other than that, it was pretty magical. Yeah. I'm happy about that, you know? And I'm accepting of that today. I can't believe I drank this almost whole bottle. And I think that's part of aging, that as you get older, it's like you see things differently than you did when you were younger. You know, I had a lot of, like, hang-ups and things that I was upset about when I was younger. Specific situations. Well, this didn't go the way that I wanted it to go when I was 10 years old. And, you know, when I was 12 years old, this. Or when I was 15 years old. I just don't have I just don't hold on to that stuff anymore now, you know? I look at it as, you know, they did the best they could. They did the best they could, and I don't honestly think that I turned out that bad, you know? Like, I really don't. I think they could have done a lot worse having a kid, you know? I'm proud of the achievements that I've made, and I'm proud of my sobriety, and I'm proud of my marriage, and I'm proud of the relationships that I have in my life with my dad, you know, and my other family, and I think they did a good job. I think they really did. You guys got an hour and a half of vlog last night, and tonight, I have no idea how long it is at this point. Let's see, I can figure it out. So I'm kind of like probably at an hour and 12 minutes right now, 13, 14, I'm probably at like an hour and 14 minutes like right now as we speak. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot longer because that'll be like the world's longest vlog, and nobody really wants that, right? But you're like, yes, longer. I miss kind of the long vlogs, you know? I haven't done a lot of them recently, so that one last night, the hour and a half one, was fun. I am going to do one, I'm going to throw this out there, and I don't really, I know some people will be like, oh God, blah, 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 whatever, but because Rich Lux always says it to me, and he's like, you know, I just want you to do like a 3-hour vlog one night, and just like, he goes, it'll be so hilarious. I am gonna do that one time, like this, like between now and the summer, just because I want to see if I can do it. You know, people go on YouNow, or they go on live streams, and they live stream for 24 hours. So it's kind of like that for me. Like, I kind of want to see if I can do like a 3-hour vlog. Like, I think it's kind of hilarious. I will not be putting 30 ads in that video, so, yeah. That lake is like solid frozen right there. I don't know what changed about that lip gloss, but it sure does taste different. See, I'm like wide awake, and this is why. Alex was like, just stay up, and I was like, I know I should, but I have to vlog. And he goes, well, go vlog right now and then come back and go to bed early. And I was like, I'm so tired, I'm so exhausted. This was literally like well, what time was it? Because he got home and then we watched RuPaul's Drag Race. RuPaul's Drag Race this season, very interesting. The All-Stars, but we sat there. I don't know what time it was. It wasn't too late though, and I was like, yeah, I should go vlog now. But I said, I'm not. I kind of have to like be in the mood to vlog, you know, Alex. It's not like I just like, you know. And he was like, well, go and try to get in the mood right now. Go get a cup of coffee or something. I was like, no, I don't really feel like it. And he was like, okay. And then like I went upstairs and I was like, out with the dog, you know. Me and Pee-Pee were out, but it was nice. Now, since I just said that about a cup of coffee kind of sounds good. I love on Wentworth, because I don't watch that many Australian TV shows, but I love on Wentworth when they say, do you want a cuppa? Is it okay? And I've asked this before, and now I've forgotten again. So can somebody let me know in the comment section below? Annie, who watches all my videos from Australia, I love her so much. Hey, Annie, can somebody let me know what a cuppa is? Is it a cup of tea or is it a cup of coffee? Or could it be either? But I love when they say that on there. And then Tanya now, she always says it to me. She goes, do you want a cuppa? And how do you say it? Like, how would you say that? That's like one trip I really want to take before I die. I really want to go to Australia. I also really want to go, Alex and I, Thailand is big on our list. I want to go to like Fiji, Bora Bora before I die. I grew up watching all of these movies, all these pirate movies, you know, what's the other one? The Blue Lagoon. Do you guys remember seeing that? It was so scandalous. I wanted to see it so bad as a kid. And, like, I've always wanted to, like, go to those places, right? And, those are, like, dream vacations for me. Like, I take some nice vacations. I feel very blessed for the vacations that Alex and I take. But Fiji, like, that's at the top of my list. If I could go anywhere in the entire world, so if you live in Fiji and Bora Bora, like, hey, call me up. But do people really live there? I don't know. Actually, my friend that I used to live with, so she's married to a musician, and she was telling me that they were thinking about moving there, like, for 2 years to, like, do this, like, they were doing some music deal, like, putting some project together, and this was years and years and years ago. But she didn't want to move because they would have had to take their cats and have their cats, like, sit, like, I don't know, like, is this normal, like, when you move to another country or something, or maybe it's just there, that the cats would have had to, like, sit and, like, be, like, you know, kind of, like, quarantined for so long before they went through to make sure that they were, like, okay? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Anyway, she didn't want to do that, so they didn't end up going there, but I just want to go there once in my life. I want to see it. I know it's super expensive. It's a super expensive trip. I mean, it's a life-changing trip. I think maybe for my 50th birthday. If I started saving money now, I think that we could do that for my 50th birthday and do it the way that I want to do it. So, it's also an extremely long flight over the ocean, which you guys know I don't love all that. So I don't know. We'll have to see how I feel about all that. Oh, that kind of like scares me a little bit. But you gotta do it, right? I was watching something the other day. What was I watching? Oh, I was watching The Wife with Glenn Close. So good. If you haven't heard me talking about it already. Oh my God, she was so fantastic in that. I still have the last half of it to watch. But they take the Concorde, I think, over to Europe at the beginning of the movie. kind of at the beginning of the movie. And I think it's the Concorde. Does the Concorde still exist anymore? Do you guys remember that was a big deal? My dad and my stepmom flew to Paris on the Concorde, and I remember it was like such a huge deal. And my dad was really excited about it because they were going for like a medical conference, and it was like a group of them, and they took the Concorde over there. And I remember my dad like brought me the little wings and stuff back, and like they got like this little like kit and everything, and of like all the stuff that he got like on the plane. The battery is about to die. And I don't have my other battery, of course. What's the point of having that other battery and I never bring it with me? But he brought me all this stuff, and it said Concorde, the Concorde on it or whatever. And I remember as a kid I had that, and I was so excited. I think I might still have that bag down in the basement. I should look. I wonder if that stuff is worth anything today. Do you think it is, from the original Concorde back in the day? Anyway, you let me know if you think so in the comment section below. Look at this. It's so weird that I'm thinking about my friend, my old roommate, because I just talked about her, okay, and talked about her and her boyfriend, and then I just passed a yellow pickup truck, and she used to drive a yellow pickup truck. Who drives yellow pickup trucks? Hardly anybody, right? And this is how it works for me. I start thinking about things in threes. Like my friend earlier today, that was like the third time that I had thought about something. There was something earlier that I thought about her, and then the third thing was her contacting me. Watch, my old friend will contact me. That is so weird. So anyway, with that, I'm going to let you guys go before the battery dies. I love you. I hope you're having a fantastic Saturday. Have fun this weekend. Watch a movie. Watch a really long vlog if you want. And, yeah, eat a lot of ice cream, I guess. I don't know. I love you guys, and my favorite ice cream, Ben & Jerry's Chubby Hubby, I cannot find anywhere. I'm so over. I just love that ice cream so much, and I can't find it anywhere. But anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.